Welcome to the Workplace Minute, powered by H3HR Advisors and sponsored by Paychex, one of the leading providers of HR, payroll, retirement, and software solutions for businesses of all sizes. My name is Steve Boese. A quarter of managers say Gen Z is unprepared for the workforce. With any new generation of workers entering the workforce, it can be easy or even lazy for members of prior generations to lament the lack of motivation, preparation, and the work ethic of the new generation of workers. Many of us can recall back in the early 2000s just how much derision and criticism was directed at the millennial generation, who had began entering the workforce in large numbers from about 2001 through 2010. Headlines blared that millennials did not want to work hard, did not expect to have to pay their dues at work, and generally that the millennial generation was an entitled soft bunch that managers and leaders, who were Gen X and boomers mainly, would have to try and coax into working hard. Fast forward to 2025, with Gen Z workers now steadily entering the workforce in larger numbers, and unsurprisingly, many of these same complaints about millennials are now being applied to Gen Z. Many Gen Z workers are in their early to mid-20s, the years when they are newly entering professional work in many cases, and having to negotiate new rules, new experiences, new expectations, and often managers and leaders from prior generations who already have some built-in biases and trepidation about the capabilities of Gen Z. A recent survey of 1,000 hiring managers published by Intelligent.com showed that 1 in 4 managers think that Gen Z workers are unprepared for the workforce, and that 1 in 8 managers plan to avoid hiring recent college graduates at all in 2025. Additional findings from the survey of hiring managers about their attitudes towards Gen Z workers included 33% of hiring managers say recent graduates lack work ethic, 25% said Gen Z candidates were unprepared for interviews. And when interviewing these recent graduates, hiring managers found that candidates struggled with eye contact, with dressing appropriately, and asking for reasonable compensation. And additionally, 8% of hiring managers said they have seen a candidate bring one of their parents to a job interview. And finally, the survey found that about 29% of hiring managers felt Gen Z workers were entitled, and 27% of them were lazy. Now, it's important to take these kinds of data points with at least some skepticism. After all, many of these same complaints, and worse, were lodged against millennials 2 decades ago. In fact, many of these hiring managers are millennials themselves, and should have at least some awareness and empathy for the newer generation of workers. But still, it will be important in the next few years for both Gen Z and for the older generations in the workforce to understand each other and to proactively take steps to make the workplace more effective, safe, productive, and mutually beneficial. A few recommendations based on the Intelligent.com survey include, for managers, instead of avoiding recent college grads entirely based on biases and stereotypes, they should adopt more proactive and nuanced approaches to identifying promising candidates. Managers and recruiters should use structured and repeatable interviewing approaches that can help identify individuals who've demonstrated motivation, adaptability, and growth potential. And managers need to remember that specific skills and processes can be easily taught to someone who is motivated and has the right attitude. And for Gen Z candidates and newer workers, they should be aware of the negative perception and biases that exist against them. By understanding what frustrates managers the most and taking an intentional approach to interviewing, candidates can increase their chances of making a good impression and standing out. And once they begin working, Gen Z should balance their energy, enthusiasm, and technical acumen with genuine curiosity, openness, and respect for their managers and more experienced colleagues. Every new generation enters the workforce and has to overcome at least some of the negativity that often meets them from experienced and sometimes cynical colleagues. But Gen Z should also come with their creativity and fresh ideas to help modernize and transform organizations as well. Like the generations before them, Gen Z has much to offer the modern workplace, and once managers and Gen Z workers can see eye to eye with each other and be willing to take the time to understand each other, it will serve to benefit everyone. We will continue to follow this and all the important topics and trends in the world of work here on the HR Happy Hour Media Network. That's it for the Workplace Minute, powered by H3HR Advisors.